Nitza Kardish, Chief Executive Officer of Ecosystems Trendlines Incubators Israel. Welcome to the evokeAG studio.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure.
Lovely to have you here. Now, it's been a very busy couple of days. What would you hope that people who are here might take out of some of the things that you've said?
Most importantly, I really wanted to share our experience in Israel as the pioneers of establishing the ecosystem of agri and food in Israel, as we started 8 years ago when nobody spoke about agri-tech, and nowadays we have almost 800 startups in this field, and I feel like part of it was our effort, our commitment to make it happen in Israel. So since this is the first event in Australia, I thought that maybe we have something to contribute, but you did an amazing work setting all this up. It's really very impressive.
Now, you have a vision for Israel to become the agri-tech centre of the world, really.
Yeah.
You obviously well down that path. You quoted some impressive numbers a moment ago. What's it going to take for Israel to take that crown?
I think that we are already establishing that, but you can never do it alone. I am a very big believer in partnerships and in working together. Since Israel has some advantage in innovation, in entrepreneurial ecosystem, but we are lack of market. And in order for us really to be successful, we have to work together with countries or continent like Australia, which has an unbelievable market, which has a lot of different climate zone. It could be an amazing beta site for all the technologies that we are developing in Israel, as well as working together in establishing here also startups that will take their technology working within Israelis entities and take it globally as well.
There are lots of similarities between Israel and Australia in terms of agriculture, dry land agriculture, but also some of the innovation research that goes on. Arguably, you are better at that in some respects than we are, particularly about commercialisation.
Exactly.
Yes. What would you say to Australians about really completing the picture in that regard?
Yeah, it's interesting because we just had a panel discussing these topics among others, but I think that it has to be an incentive for all the players to come abroad and make it happen. So if the scientists at the universities in Australia, which I know they have very interesting and very good science and technology, will have an incentive to not just publish, but also be part of the commercialization process, I think that will help. Government has to be a main, they has to have a main role in enabling that, because it is very difficult to invest in early stage and technology that will come from universities and from very young entrepreneurs need somebody really to believe in them and guide them to establish their startups, to get the early fund, and this has to be with the government involvement and commitment. Israel did an amazing job in that. The government of Israel really supporting all the ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship, and also in agri and food. We were the first agri-tech incubator established in Israel 8 years ago. And since then, we are focusing in that area, and we got a lot of support from the government and the other part of the ecosystem. So we need technology, we need money, we need follow-on investors, and we need also the involvement and the interest of multinationals that see in Israel as a center of R&D. So I don't know if in Australia they see that, but for sure you have a lot of multinationals that are very active here because, again, the market of Australia is huge, and you are a hub to other Pacific Asia market. So
if Australia then can draw some of those threads together, do you think that this country could become a bit of a hub for agri-tech in this part of the world?
I have no doubt, because the ingredients needed are here. We have to add on that a little bit of culture, meaning not to be afraid to take risk. This is something that is very crucial in building startups ecosystem. So you have to be ready to take risk and go out from your comfort zone. And I believe that Australia is a place with a lot of comfort zone. I mean, you have all these amazing beaches and good life. So sometimes people can ask, why should we take a risk? But if you want to make an impact, if you want to make a change, you have to take a risk. And then you have to get the government support. If you take a risk, I'm here to back you. So, and if that will happen, why shouldn't Australia be a hub for a startup ecosystem in agri and food?
There are lots of innovations. I mean, Australia is renowned for being a country of innovation, but how do you package those up and I guess perhaps consolidate to really make those innovations count when it comes to what farmers actually do?
Yeah, innovation is one part. The other part is the entrepreneurship. People has to take those innovation and put it together and understand the journey that they have to go from the moment they realize that this innovation really answering an unmet need out there globally, not only because Israel has no market, and even Australia, although it's big. How many people you have here? 26 million? It's nothing compared to the 3 billion around. So you have to think globally and realize that this technology, this innovation can serve the global problem. And then you have to get the other resources, I mean people that will be willing to work in the startup, and maybe after 2 or 3 years not to succeed and try again. And maybe yes. And then you have to bring the money from investors, and you have to go around all over the world looking for the money. Or maybe you can, develop the venture capital industry in Australia as well, and that will be willing to invest, take risk in order to make this place, not only innovative, which it is, but also entrepreneurial.
Now, your business is all about innovation. What are some of the innovations you're seeing that really excite you?
A lot is going on in what we call precision ag, that will serve the future farm, 24/7 farm. So all the artificial intelligence, sensors, machine learning, all those crazy technologies that are coming from different industry, like the cyber, like the defense industry in Israel, like from the ICT. Suddenly, you can implement it in agri and food to create the future farm. We have a lot yet to go until we will fulfill it. But on top of that, we can see a lot of biologicals where we can't use anymore so much chemicals, pesticide. So the approach now is to find biologicals to treat the plant protection issues in a much more sustainable manner. Of course, protein substitute, beef is something that is very heavily have a print on the environment, so we have to move to maybe aquaculture, fish and other creatures from the sea, or even insects, or cultured meat. We see a lot of technologies in robotics that will change the problem of cost and availability of labor, which is a big problem in agriculture.
Nitza, Australian agriculture has really been very male-dominated for a long time. That is changing, but it's interesting that your company is run predominantly by women. What do you think that says about the need for challenging tradition and the ways things have been done for a long time?
There is a moment where traditional has to adopt the changes. So traditionally, sometimes we continue what we know what to do. Again, it's to be in the comfort zone, and suddenly you realize that if you will continue to do the same things and hope for different results, you won't get it. So you have to make a change. So I don't really know what in Australia is very strong from the traditional agriculture point of view, but 100 years ago we didn't use tractors, I believe, and nowadays nobody can think about a farm without machinery. In 50 years, I believe, nobody will think about a farm without all the digitation, communication, and all along the value chain, from the input to the what's going on in the farm and the output from the farm. Everything has to be connected by technology.
For your company, say in a decade's time, where would you envisage things being, and what would you like to have achieved in that time?
I would love to see, from the venture capital perspective, I would like to see some of our companies succeed in a manner that a big company acquire it. So we had some exits. At the same time, I would love to see some of our companies become a very big, meaningful company like Netafim all over the world, with the product serving Australian farmers, American farmers, and also in Africa, and all the smallholders all over the world, that a tiny technology can really change their ability to produce a little bit more, and that will change everything in the production of agriculture, I believe.
Well, all the very best. Nitza Kardish from Trendlines Incubators, thanks for joining us in the evokeAG studio.
Thank you very much.